Memories of working Undertaker.
One match, that was it. Monday Night Raw. Would have liked to have done more. You know, you're in all. I was at the point where I was never nervous. It was just get anxious, like you can't wait to get in there. You're like, this is your time to shine. You go from, you wrestled in front of 100 people your whole life, now you're wrestling in front of millions. Put it up. It's your time to shine. Hey, it's a shame is, first time you wrestle a guy, no matter who it is, at what level, you're feeling your each other out. I mean, can you imagine if we had 5 matches by then, and then that was and we wrestled on TV? You had all this stuff you could have worked out first, and then had a better show. Everybody said how good it was because again, I wasn't intimidated. I was all over him the whole match. Like you're thinking, all right, this guy's not going to be aggressive. You're afraid the kick is too stiff, or you're going to punch him, or you're going to stiff him. Right. I don't give a fuck. If it happens, it ain't going to be the first time. It's going to be the last. It's happened to me a million times. Happened to him a million times. Yeah. And that's it. Don't cry about it. Just take it.
Memories of working with The Rock.
That's a whole other segment. That's a whole story in itself. The Rock was brought in. We were great friends at the beginning. They came to me and they said, literally, take care of this kid, okay? Sure, he had a great future. He's another one like Steiner. It was a can't miss. 3rd generation wrestler, collegiate lineman, University of Miami. Great look, great build, great, he's half coon, half Puerto Rican, whatever he was, right? Samoan, right? And the thing was, he had it, but he was a great guy. He called me, I'd call him on the phone. But then it happened. It. Nation of Devastation, whatever the hell it was called, put him in that. He was great. I mean, he got to the point where you won't believe me when I say this. We worked so much, I had to work with him 40 times at the start, which was fine because again, we built matches. And then when we got on TV, we put it all together. We were in Germany and we were working different guys. And we worked the early part of the tour and then got to the end of the tour, they had him with Al Snow. Well, Al Snow's a great wrestler, but they really never worked together. So they were kind of, there's certain things where Al was they just didn't click for whatever reasons. Right. And the last night of the tour, Rock starting to get an identity there. He went to the agents and asked to work with me. And you're thinking, Al Snow's going to wrestle to Tom Brandi, which is fine, but it was just he had a comfort zone with me. Mm-hmm. He knew where I'd be. He knew how I'd react. We just knew each other that much better. We loved each other. Like I was always hanging out with the brothers, right? It was me with the brothers, always traveled. Me and Ron Simmons, Mark Henry. For some reason, Brian Christopher was in there because he was up the Rock's ass because everybody hated him. Right. He was a wannabe. I don't know where he fit in, but everybody hated Brian Christopher. He's another midget and a small man syndrome. But anyway, we had so much fun together, and Scorpio too. And then it happened where he just started getting, once he got into the Nation, I think he turned heel. We got to the point where we were working later on, like close to when I was leaving. We placed each other in the hall, and he looked the other way. Like he was that much better. I mean, I can't even imagine him. Like I was gone before all his catch sayings started kicking in with the eyebrow and the tongue thing and smell what the Rock is cooking and all that. I was gone by then. Thank God. I could only imagine the way he got when all that kicked in. Right. I mean, I saw the way he got. You see, they created a monster. It was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And then I saw where it got to him. And again, I loved him at first and hated him in the end. And that's plain and simple.
Thoughts on Steve Austin?
Always nice to me. Worked a few times in WCW, never in WWF. And he's pretty much, he was always happy in the locker room. Again, guys always try to be the comedian, keep guys loose, just ribbing everybody, fucking burying everybody, that type of stuff there. But he was always cool. He's what you see on TV. He's one of the guys. He's a professional. Like he would not so much politic, but he was always one. He was bitter in WCW just because, again, Bischoff said he wasn't a main eventer. Right. He always wanted to prove him wrong. That's really it. I mean, good guy.
Any good road stories from WWF?
Shit, that's plenty. The most fun was with definitely with Owen, just because he had everybody catering us, driving us, picking us up, paying for stuff.
Right.
That was the main. I mean, they were always the main things. I always had fun with Scorpio. I'm not into the drug scene, as I say. So I figured all the guys that are, I never fit in with. Guys always handing each other pills, the somas and the muscle relaxers, which killed so many guys in this business. And I never fit in. But like with Scorpio, it was always a cloud of smoke in that car going down the highway. I mean, that was his gimmick. I mean, that's the bottom line. That was his gimmick. You learn to live with it because WCW, it was him, Van Hammer, and RVD, and I would just sit there and just hold my breath, shit like that. But they're most of the road. They're just instances you have. Going out to the club afterwards with the certain guys. Like, I had a lot of fun with the Godwins because I was with them in WCW. We worked. We all lived together, same hotel room, 3 of us.
Wow.
I mean, talking about just, jammed in, but I had my history with them, and we had fun with them in WWF. They're a little bit different. They were kind of like they were in the Undertaker's clique.
Right.
They kind of changed. They were a little bit different. Like, we were cool when I get them individually because we had history together, but again, it's like who you trying to impress. Godfather, Undertaker, Crush, Godwins. They were all kind of like in a clique together. I just never, I had the guys I liked, but I was never in any cliques. I wasn't kissing anybody's. That was my bottom line. I was business. I was there to make money. I wasn't there to kiss Patterson's ass, fuck him, that type of thing.
Right.
Professional, always dressed nice, always clean cut, always tanned up, oiled up, professional, always clean. Take any drug test, any day of my life, I'll take any drug test. And maybe because I wasn't a steroid freak, maybe I wasn't good enough to push. Maybe that's what it came down to. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever propositioned me, do this, and maybe you'll do this, do that, do this. None of that shit happened. It's happened with guys.
Right.
Like you watch TV. I don't really watch it now because there's not much interest in like who's there. But it's like everybody's sharing the same needle right now.
Right.
I've never seen a federation where every guy looks the same. And it's definitely hurt them. I mean, you hear the buy rates are down, everything's down. Every freaking guy, they don't do characters anymore. They just do everybody, whatever your name is or whatever your colors are, that's your character.
Right.
It's like everybody's sharing the same needle. I've never seen that. I mean, I wish they'd be brought down on drug steroids now. Every guy's off. That's the bottom line. I see guys like Joey Matthews, Mercury, when I knew him coming up, he was over 150 pounds. I look at him now, he's still the same height. He's got a hell of a build.
Yeah.
And it's one reason. It's not because he just lifted weights and taking their vitamins. Everybody's on it. Everybody. Guys that don't have to be like, few guys might be fat. A guy like Mark Henry or like the Murdoch kid, guys that just don't have it. But 95% are all the same way.
Right.
So I'm glad. You know what? I just wanted to be. I always liked wrestling where everybody was different. That was the key. That was the best part about it.
Thoughts on Marc Mero and Sable?
Oh, it was nice. Those big fat tits. Those tits were beautiful. I mean, Mark was cool with me in WCW. And when we went to WWF, he was like the modern day Macho Man and Elizabeth, where I was always told Macho Man never, ever, ever let her out of his sight. Everybody wanted to hammer Sable. Everybody did. Right. I mean, to this day, I don't see how they didn't just pill up Mero so Shawn Michaels could bang him, right? It's like when Shawn was banging Sonny, and Candido's knocking on the door. When I was there, he's knocking on the door saying, come on, we're up next. She's in the freaking Shawn's dressing room getting hammered, and they're out doing it out in the ring. Same with Sable. Mero, he never blinked. If she went to take a shit, he was there wiping her ass. If she was there taking a piss, he was holding the seat down for her. I mean, I loved it because it was one of those things where it was my highest point in WWE, whatever that might be. But it was at the point where I think they were fucking with him too, because when they brought him back, they told him to shave his head. He comes in, they tell him to grow it back. One day, they said, we don't like to grow it back. That's how they fuck with you there, right? For me, they always made sure I was fondling her. Of course, I'm going to fondle her like the next guy wants to fondle. It's big fucking tits all over the place. She had 4 different boob jobs while I was there. Bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. Every time you turn around, those fucking tits were hanging out. And knowing it was driving him crazy because they were supposed to be reborn, born again. Right. And you see these fucking tits everywhere, oiled up, these little string bikinis. Obviously, sex sells, but he always made sure that I think it was a rib because he never left her side in the locker room, in the cafeteria or outside in public. but he made sure guys were getting to her in the ring, doing saves, doing run-ins, following her, holding her, lifting her, carrying her back to the locker room. It drove him nuts.
Right.
It drove him absolutely crazy. But it was good because that was the most money I made. That was the most exposure. There was nothing after that. It never had closure. I mean, it was like the thing going on. Like people would say, "Oh, I remember Marc Mero." It was never the greatest feud where it's going to go down in wrestling history, but it was something to both of us. That was his first time as a heel.
Right.
Again, I was a guy filling a slot. He was always a face his whole career. Okay, he got his face angle. He's more of a character. He's never the greatest wrestler. So they sent him to one of those camps to learn how to be heel. So they figured, okay, who do we put him with to start out as a heel? Well, a safe veteran babyface, and that's where I came in. Turned me babyface. Did that for 6 months, and then fell into oblivion. Fell into oblivion to where the one thing I refused to do in this business was do jobs as my real name. I don't give a shit if it's Johnny Gunn. I don't give a shit if it's Sal Sincere. I don't give a shit what you call me. It wasn't going to be Tom Brandi. Because I never wanted people turning the channel, people that I haven't grew up with or that knew me my whole life, and they say, "Oh, it is Tom Brandi losing again." If you're a character, is one thing. If you're Johnny Gunn, Sal Sincere, whatever it is one thing, especially when you're a heel. Slip on a banana peel. Nobody ever gets down on a heel doing jobs. When you're a babyface doing jobs, you're a piece of shit. Always will be. It's always been that way. Always will be. When the job started, when there was no other angles in sight or any pushes in sight, I put in my resignation. Vince doesn't like when people quit. Every time I talked to Pritchard about not being happy, he just talked me into staying, which was fine. Never got to the point where it was imminent. I got to the point where I knew it was over when they wanted me to do. I can't remember the guy's name. Remember the giant they had on the Truth Commission?
Giants.
Yeah.
Or Corgi?
Corgi, that's it, Corgi. Well, they wanted to do something where he was going to claw me all the way back to the locker room. I said I was hurt. I can't do it. Fuck you. I said I milked an injury for not long, like a month. Not even a month. And then they were coming back. We did one show. Again, it was like in a tag match with a local against The Rock and Ron Simmons. I'm like, no, fuck this. I knew Philly was coming up. I said, I'm not going to Philly. Embarrass me in front of that home team. No. I already worked in Philly a few times, but they were safe. What if I got beat against Mero and it was a good match? That's fine. Right. This was TV. It's Monday Night Raw Live. And I said, no. I got my resignation. 4 years, knowing that I had all these people I could work for on the Indies again. I knew I was going to make more on the Indies. And you're always strong when you just come off TV. I mean, no matter who you are.
Right.
I made as much money the next year in the Indies as I did that year in WWE. I mean, for being off, I was off for a few months. And then that stretch, again, it was all positive cash flow. And that's what it came down to. I mean, that's how it ended. Right. I mean, I was one of the very few that told Vince to go fuck himself in a nice way. And that's it. That was it. Babyface run, heel run, not going anywhere else. It was time to move on. Because they were keeping me. And now, if I could have stayed there and milked it again, there was times where I was off for a few months, not doing it, just collecting money, which everybody has. But they were preventing me from working the Indies. I didn't want to stay home and not do anything. Getting the check wasn't good enough. I had to wrestle. I couldn't go months without being in the ring. Right. And that's what they were keeping you from. At that time, they were clamping down because they didn't want guys jumping companies. They didn't want them working Indies or anything. I said, it's just time to go. And that was it. That was it.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.